going to move on to the next one here. So we've got the exorcism economy is flourishing with consults starting at $100. It's interesting because you guys may remember me when I'm, mocking the paranormal, debunking the paranormal, correcting the paranormal. One of the things I'm always talking about is exorcisms and how it's not popular, right? That's why we don't see it, going around all the time. And now all of a sudden we see it going around. It's quite interesting. The exorcism economy is flourishing with consults starting at 100. That's pounds, right? That's British pounds, I think that symbol is. At 100 pounds. Thousands of people in Russia are actively discussing exorcisms on social media. Here's why. Interesting. This just makes it sound like it's like Twitter, like you went on X and you just went under trending and you saw 30,000 people talking about this one topic, and so you decided to just make a news story out of it. Like I don't like if I were to go on X right now, I'm on X every day. So if I were to go on X right now and go under trending, let's see. Maybe it's on PC where they do it. Maybe it's not. Let's see. Maybe it's not on mobile where you can see that. Um, All right. Let's see. It might be on PC where you do it. Did they take it away? It used to tell you, like, when something was like trending, it used to tell you, like, if you were going to trending, it would tell you how many, like, thousands of people are talking about this. They must have, like, updated it. Like, it would be like, oh, the Grammys, talk about this with 22,000 other people, right? Um, yeah, I don't, kind of like this over here. How it says Markiplier's Iron Lung Friday box office got 132,000 posts, or Costco opens under 800 apartments in Los Angeles, 17K. Nick Shirley confronts San Diego daycare fraud, 132,000. Um, I remember that stuff being over here under like trending, but I guess this is a good example since it does show it. Um, so that's what this sounds like. Thousands of people in Russia are actively discussing exorcisms on social media. It sounds like they just went to, I guess in this case, today's news and saw, oh, there's 30,000 people talking about this, and now they're going to make a news article about it. Insane. Insane. Please tell me where to go. A 14-year-old teenager has been possessed by a demon. We tried healers, but they couldn't help. Has anyone encountered this? Moscow region. This is one of many similar pleas that have been circulating in Russia's online communities in recent years. That is the first sign. The fact that you think that your teenager or a teenager that you know is being possessed rather than being a teenager or having a medical, whether that's mental or not, episode is telling. Okay. One of the first things that people should learn when coming into the occult is that magic doesn't solve every problem, and it's not meant to solve every problem. Okay. And that's what these people are doing, right? They tried healers. Not doctors, psychiatrists, psychologists, psychotherapists, psychoanalysts, whatever. We tried healers. You went to some old woman in the woods, some babushka in the back country. That's why it didn't work. Maybe try someone qualified to assist. You shouldn't run right to the spiritual, right? And I know witches personally in my real life. I know witches who use magic for every little problem. And I don't think that that's good, because it's all fine and dandy when everything is going right, but there's going to come an issue that you're not going to be able to solve with your magic, and that might upend some people's relationship with magic. Continuing, according to reports in Russian media outlets such as Gazeta.ru, thousands of people in Russia are actively discussing exorcisms on social media. This is a spiritual ritual performed by a handful of Russian priests to expel spirits or demons from a person who is believed to be possessed. So then I wonder, because the main religion in Russia is the Russian Orthodox Church, I wonder if the Russian Orthodox Church is more lenient. I wonder if Orthodoxy is more lenient on exorcisms than, say, Catholicism. Because in Catholicism, here in the West, the place where you would assume exorcisms are happening all the time, because we live in such a demonic, quote unquote, and depraved society, it's very, 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 very rare. But I wonder if in Russia, if the Russian Orthodox Church has a more laissez-faire approach to it. I don't know. Some people are traveling to well-known exorcism destinations such as Oryol Oblast, about 400 kilometers south of Moscow. A priest there called Father Igor, the official exorcist of the local diocese, performs a ritual called Ochitka. The ritual involves the priest reciting a set of prayers to help those deemed to be under the influence of spirits. Just spirits? Not demonic spirits. Just spirit. Well, of course, to them, any spirit that's not angelic is demonic. To them, the spiritual universe is, or the spiritual world is black and white. Even though nothing else in the world works that way, the spiritual world is black and white. There's only up and down. There is no left and right, and adjacent and catty-cornered, and there's none of that in the spiritual world, according to the Christian paradigm. But we know in the occult that it is, right? That we do have more than just up and down. There's more than just angels and demons, right? There's all kinds of spirits, and they're not evil, at least not as a group, right? So other people are turning to the informal exorcism economy, which is offered by local mediums. That's another problem. Some have reported paying between 10,000 rubles, which is $98, and 20,000 rubles, $196, just for an initial consultation. Well, not dollars, excuse me, pounds. Just for an initial consultation to determine whether they are truly possessed. Not good. It's good for the consultations. That's a smart thing, so that way you're not just charging people randomly. But mediums, no. You want to go to actual occultists, right? People who know how to perform banishing rituals. People who know how to perform road openers, right? People who know how to perform protection rituals, shielding, warding, things like that. Not a medium who's going to close her eyes and sing some kumbaya really quick and then tell you that the spirit is gone. They're going to light some sage and wave it around and, oh, spirit, get out of here. Oh, spirit. No, that doesn't work. It does not work. So, Russia's Orthodox Church warns that exorcism attempts should be left to members of the clergy. I agree that it should be left to people who know what they're doing. I'm not going to say just members of the clergy. There are people outside of the clergy who know how to get rid of spirits, but mediums, psychics are not them. Sorry. Occultists, right? And it doesn't have to be from my tradition. Most occultists, especially the ones that have been practicing for, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10 plus years, should know the proper way to get rid of an unwanted spirit, right? How to protect from unwanted spirits from coming back, those sorts of things. Exorcism is embedded into the Orthodox tradition, with exorcism prayers first brought into Russian religious practice in the 17th century by Archbishop Peter Mogila or Mogila. However, exorcisms remained rare until the late Soviet period. Interesting. Interesting. How much more we got? Okay, we're not going to read all this, but we'll read just a bit more here. The most influential modern exorcist in Russia was Father German, a priest who began practicing near Moscow in the 1980s. His reputation spread through word of mouth. Igumen Filaret, a man who knew Father German, described witnessing the following scene at one of his exorcisms. One little boy was screaming terribly. He ripped away all his clothes and was rolling naked on the floor. "Mama, mama, pull the tail out of my mouth." Father sprinkled him with holy water. Then it became clear, as is often the case of demonic possession in children, his mother had not repented of her abortions. Oh, wow. Interesting. The sins of the father. Well, in this case, the sins of the mother. That shouldn't be a thing in orthodoxy, from what I understand. There is no sins of the father or sins of the mother type thing, from an Orthodox perspective, from what I understand. But that's very, very interesting. And also interesting that they didn't think anything mental. They just thought it was, religious and spiritual. So, but what happened in the 1980s to spur, and then of course they blame it on the mother and say it's because she got abortions. But what happened in the 1980s to spur the interest in exorcisms in Russia, according to some researchers such as Pavel Nosashev of HSC University in Moscow, the emotional strain caused by the gradual collapse of the Soviet Union led people to search for spirituality. I do agree with that people would go to find answers in spirituality, but to fake possessions or things like that is a little out there. Yeah. We'll just read up to this part here. As communist ideology waned, underground religious groups flourished and the Orthodox Church revived after decades of repression. Hypnotists and self-proclaimed psychic healers such as Anatoly Keshkripovsky also became prominent on television. A crisis in shared meaning produced a boom in both in religious, ritual, and occult experimentation. Psychics and all that are not occult. They are occult adjacent. And for some reason, they don't want to venture into the real occult. And I think you guys know my reasoning for this. It's because it requires work, right? Pretending to be psychic is not really any work, and you can make millions of dollars. But becoming a real occultist requires actual study, actual practice for many years. And who wants to go through that when I could just, say I'm channeling the Galactic Federation, not have to worry about providing any proof because the audience that believes in that stuff doesn't ask for proof. And even if they did, whatever proof that the person would say is they would just believe it. So, why would they skip that and go to the real work? Especially when it's more profitable to just say you channel the Galactic Federation, and Bashar. So, media reports suggesting that the business of banishing demons seen in present-day Russia are also reflective of a society under strain, but in this case, one grappling with the effects of the war in Ukraine. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know about that, but I'm not a sociologist or anything like that. All right, so that is the exorcism economy from The Independent. Interesting. People are, maybe I need to start doing that.